Alrighty, welcome everyone for another amazing episode of the Infinite Star Connections. We are your hosts, Vivian Chauvette and Jeff Demers. I am an Octane hybrid and a transverse channel for my Octane collective and other interstellar collective, as well as a quantum and holographic healer and speaker. I am the owner of Infinite Healing from the Stars. Jeff is the CEO and the director of the Infinite Voice Project, as well as a cosmic ambassador for the Ponti. And we are both thrilled to welcome back two of our amazing guests today, Clifford Mahooty and Derrell Stokes. We are thrilled to have a very special 2 hour show with our distinct guests. So, allow me to introduce them properly before we dive into our amazing dimensional exchange today. I can already feel like laughter, joy, wisdom, knowledge, connections, and we're going to go above and beyond. So, Clifford Mahooty is a Zuni Elder and member of the New Mexico tribe's Kachina Society. The Kachina Society sacredly guards centuries of knowledge of contact between the Zunis and the star nation, star beings. And Clifford spent many successful years as a civil engineer, consistently advocating the Zuni and all Pueblo nations while dedicating decades of his life to his tribal spiritual system. Clifford is a member of the Zuni Pueblo Indian tribe of New Mexico. Clifford is a retired civil and environmental engineer and worked in many projects with different companies. Clifford is active in the Zuni orders of the Kachina, the Galaxy Medicine Society, the Sun Clan leadership, and is a wisdom keeper of the Zuni history. We are so honored to have you, Clifford. Welcome back to the show.
Glad to be
Absolutely
here.
honored. Thank
Glad to
you.
be here.
Thank you. Daryl, my dear, thank you back again. And Daryl is a licensed massage therapist, holy fire Reiki practitioner, sound practitioner, and intuitive reader. Daryl felt a strong connection to the angels, elementals, fairies, orbs, and animals throughout his entire life. He offered insight for life lessons and tribulation that offer messages that are clear, positive, and uplifting. He has the unique ability to physically take pictures of orbs anywhere in great details. He is known as a universal ambassador of worlds. Daryl, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be back.
It's wonderful. So, gentlemen, it's amazing to have you here. And we can see also in the audience, everyone say hello, good morning, much love from Barcelona, from Spain. Um,
Right on.
it's a it's absolutely an honor to be here. So we're going to dive into this conversation. I feel that I can feel the presence of my Arcturians, collective with my father behind me. I'm sure the Ponti will be like jumping up and down and bringing a lot of energy from both our guests and our collective, bringing amazing wisdom and knowledge also from the Zuni Nation. And so, what amazing collective of great consciousness coming together, great beings. So let's dive with say hello, hi both of you, hi Mahudi, hello Daryl from Divine Fractal. So thank you everyone for being here today. Let's go. Let's talk about maybe starting with Clifford. Clifford, you mentioned earlier that this upcoming weekend you're going to be in Sedona, Arizona for where you're going to be speaking at this conference. Is that correct?
That is correct. This is the flyer that's out. It's in. It's called the 2020 Transformational Shift Conference. It's the title of it is Wopila, a special gathering of spiritual friends and family. It's put on. It will be in Sedona at the Enchantment. I believe that's a resort in a canyon somewhere. I haven't been there yet, but I will be there. They want me to be the keynote speaker, But there's a lot of people that will be there. We've been talking about what is happening in this transformational shift and also some of the effects of what's happened recently within the last 6 months. But we're going into a traditional type of information system. It's not a typical PowerPoint presentation. It'll be out in the open. You'll be in a you'll be out there in outdoors. So it'll be a number of speakers from different parts of the country, different backgrounds, and we're going to have a 3 day activity. I will be there all 3 days, and also I will. There's going to be some vendors there, and I'm going to be also selling a lot of traditional Indian stuff from Zuni and others. So this will be a very good, I believe, will be a good session. This will be the first one within the last 6 months out here in Sedona. So I'm looking forward to it.
Oh my goodness, how exciting! And is this upcoming weekend for 3 days? So September 25th, 26th, and 27th. Is that correct, Clifford?
Yes, it is. It's
Okay.
starts on Friday noontime and it goes through Sunday, and it'll be a very informal round table type sessions that the natives, the indigenous tribes used to have uh, information exchanges as in the old days. But we set this up to where everybody would be participating in it, and but we have the speakers that were from different nations, our brothers to the south and all over throughout the United States will be there. So it'll be a good meeting.
Oh my God, definitely. I feel like it's really a powerful gathering coming together, especially right now. We can feel we need that. We need to come back and connect and feel we're never disconnected for sure, but at the same time, to get in the same physical place, sharing tradition, sharing information, activities that you mentioned, and having different. It sounds like a really powerful gathering going on in Sedona this upcoming weekend, September 25th to the 27th. And you're going to be there all 3 days,
I will
Clifford?
be there all 3 days.
Okay, perfect. And are you going to be speaking all 3 days, or when is your lecture?
Well, I opened the meeting on Friday, but I'm sure that I'm going to be on there every day because this is a time of transition and also to come back together and sort of like going into the next phase of what will be happening. It's very important because we're at the time where many things are going on that's pointing to many different directions, and we got to come back and get together and also to talk about some of the prophecies of our indigenous groups throughout the planet, and also what the connection is with our star brothers, and some of the things that have been going on in recent months as to this whole shift that's going on. The human element of it is we all see it right now, but there's no explanation to why we're going through these things. So hopefully that in this session that we'll be open about it and talk the truth about some of us that have held back for a number of years, and also to look at remedies and open up our messages that we have received from numerous sources. So this is not, like I said, a typical meeting. We're not going to have PowerPoint. We're not going to have limited uh, hourly discussions. It's going to be a very open, and we can go on even after the presentation hours to have private consultations. At least that I do those things anyway. So looking
Amazing.
forward to it.
Can can you talk about any of the prophecies that you can talk about?
Well, one of the things that I have been really reviewing all these years has been uh, perhaps the famous ones were the Hopi prophecies. I just got through reviewing Tom Payanka's prophecies right before the show. And of course, I've studied a lot of those throughout the years. And what is going on is that there is a, if you want to look at it in terms of the contraction, expanding uh, scientific concepts of knowledge transfer, and also of what will be happening within the on the planet. We're now at the time of what the Zunis call, we're at the end of the fourth world. It's not going to be the end of the earth, or it's not going to be the end of the planet. It's an epoch of the thinking and some of the things that we have gone through in the last, I don't know how many thousands of years, but we're going through that phase. And same way with the other indigenous groups throughout the planet, that we're going into this type of an ending of what had been going on through the last thousands. I would say about the last, well, I would say what they call this world. We call it the fourth world. Um, the other thing too, that on the scientific part of it, is that there's a lot of things that are happening in terms of the universe and the galaxy itself. That we're going through a lot of shifting within the whole planetary systems, and also the connection with what we in the as humans call the interdimensional beings. And I think that one of the things that humans have forgotten is that we are not we are not the top dogs in the universe. We are merely the subjects of the ones that are really actually the rulers of the whole universe, which are our star brothers and our star ancestors throughout many different galaxies and constellations and so on. But what has happened also is that the humankind has gone through so many lies, so many false information, that it will be now getting ready to open up those channels of truth. Oh, and how do we go about accepting those and to taking steps for the new? I guess it will be a new shift in the ways of thinking that's going to be coming about. Um, that's why this whole on the political side is very important this year, because we're going through a lot of changes. I am not a politician, but anything that affects, it's just like any other system. Once you throw in a monkey wrench into the system, you're going to have a lot of disturbances. So the humans have always been that type of the monkey wrench, so to speak, in a lot of our activity that should have gone on in a positive direction. But the thing about it is that there's always somebody else that is taking care of us, that are taking care of us. And sometimes we are at the stage of hopelessness and helplessness, but there's always something that will also recover that. So these are the things that we'll be talking about from many different sources. One of the things that has been happening for a number of, I would say about hundreds of years, is that people that talk the truth were always set aside, or even if it's like about maybe 50 to 75 years ago, you start talking about UFOs, connecting with star people, or, for example, like the Ponti, you will be put in a loony bin. But now I think a lot of people are have their minds opened up. They've accepted a lot of things, but there's one thing that I always find in a lot of my conferences and meetings, is that people are still afraid. They're scared of something that they cannot pinpoint to their scared unhappiness and fear. But I think that we're going into that in the upcoming years, into more fear and more control, which is not gonna be happening. Hopefully, with the interference of our star ancestors. So what this year is very important. Look what's happening in every nation. Some nations are getting together. our own nation is falling apart at a very, very high, fast rate. And we, as the indigenous groups that have known about this for perhaps hundreds of years, we're just watching on the sidelines, and we have not had an opportunity to be spoken with. And as far as like the Hopis were concerned, they were the first group that actually went out there and talked among the different governments. They were kicked out of the United Nations for talking about some of the things that are going to happen in the future. My own people in Zuni have been talking about it since I was about 10 years old. And so this, I have seen this happen in real time and in reality. And so perhaps it's about time that a lot of us would get together and not be afraid and not be fearful of other things, because if we do not do this, we'll start getting more and more enclosed by a lot of other things that are what I call the dark force people. And we're off balance right now. The dark force people are assuming that they're going to win and assume that they're winning, but it's not going to happen. So we have to prepare on both sides of it. And it's sort of like this coming election, if you want to look at it in those terms. What would happen if one party wins, and what would happen if the other party is still in power? What are the consequences? What are the good things, bad things, ugly things? So these are the things that we have to come into reality with, and it is up to each one of us individually to look at ourselves and be honest with it within ourselves, and look at it in terms of who do you want to be in those positions. In the past, even our indigenous groups put their bets on the wrong person, and that's why we got into trouble. This was prior to the invasion of the Europeans. So this has always been with us, but at that time it was not as massive as we are right now. One of the things that they talk about, or the elders talked about, was overpopulation. And the other thing too was the integration of many different colors. I mean, people of different countries and different colors, because they have to get along with each other. And in the Indian or the indigenous groups, they were colorblind. But these are the things that are in our faces, but we don't want to accept it. Again, going back to a lot of these uh, ancient, well, I guess not so ancient, but old timer Indian leaders, they talked about these things. They knew what was coming down, yeah, in the future, what we'll be faced with, but they did not take into consideration that it was going to be happening as fast or as massive as it is right now. One of the other things too that's happening is that Mother Earth is so unhappy. Look at all the things that are happening on the East Coast. We got the floods and the hurricanes. We got on the West Coast. We got the fires that are going on, and in the middle part of it, we have a lot of things that are happening that is going to destroy our food sources. These are real, and nobody seems to be taking care of that. All it is that we're now fighting among each other on things of that doesn't mean anything to the advancement of mankind. It's only because of the ideology of I'm better than you, I got more money than you, that type of effort. So these are the things that we're going to be talking about this weekend, and on a agenda that we don't have any things to hold back on. So, but I think that these are the things that should be talked about right now. We've had an opportunity to sit back for about the last 3 or 4 months and evaluate of what our thinking would be, And again, it has to be coming from each one of us, from our own selves, in order to make things happen in the future for the betterment of what we are. There are so many things that are is going to be very hard shift. This was supposed this whole, in my opinion and in my studies, both on the scientific and on the spiritual side of it, this was a time to reconsider these things. But something happened. In this case, the common denominator of anything that is supposed to work in a right way, the common denominator is money, and to bring things out that will prevent people from thinking and taking the time to correct a lot of our mistakes. Right now, we're at a standstill. Nobody really knows what to do. And if
Okay. Well, I got another question. Is it safe to assume that the Indian nations feel the same way and are wanting to talk about the same thing that you're talking about? Is it like a common thread? Are they all in agreement?
the there's two groups in every Indian reservation, or the Indian group, and I can say this without any problem because I work with all the Indian tribes.
Right.
We have a separation that was created uh, about 100 years ago almost, and some people are like I am, the spiritual group, and the other people are have not been taught because of the education system that was interfered with. The common thread among all the Indian tribes is that they still have their history, and they still have their common knowledge about how to get along with each other in the world. But there's a lot of interferences, and there's a big history about it. See, most Indian tribes are like the constitutional form of government, like the United States. That separates the traditional, the wisdom keepers, the medicine people, the priesthood, all those people away from the governing group. The governing group is a group that was led into by what they call the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934, which was put on by the Roosevelt administration. They became mini United States government, so that eliminates a lot of the traditional people to educate each other on the things that we are talking about to this day. And the common thread is that, yes, they want to talk about it, but who is going to allow them to talk about it? Because they are now under the control of the federal government, called Indian reservations.
Got it.
There's
Okay.
only one person that can talk to the, so that's basically what it amounts to. We all have the knowledge and we want to talk, but how are we going to do this? Where are we going to get together? If we were, let's assume that we all got together, we will probably maybe have the information media and maybe only a handful. They would rather go into cover something like people burning down buildings and destroying department stores and calling each other names, but they're not going to listen to something that is the truth and something that is viable for the existence and the future of our nation. They're not going to listen to the old timers. I mean, this is what, when I was a little kid back in the 50s, this is exactly what the old timers used to say. Why should we talk about these things? Because nobody listens to us anymore. So we're going through that other phase right now.
Okay. Well, we have a question from Divine Fractal.
Yes, she's asking, which star nation do you think brought us the heavenly Zuni fry bread.
But the Zuni private, they might have been the Galaxy Society because they always like to eat the clowns.
It is delicious indeed. Thank
I'm
you.
trying to keep it together.
Oh,
Thank you, Divine Fractal, for a delicious question.
But I do like fry bread.
Yes, so do I. So thank you, Clifford. Thank you so much. Daryl, thank you for being here.
It's an honor as always. Thank you for
Uh,
having me.
we're very happy to have you. Um, I heard that you started a new company called Dimensional Discovery. Can you tell us more about this?
The Ponte have been very active with me putting myself out there more. I love sharing messages, and being able to, we're being called to do our best to educate our fellow brothers and sisters, to remember who we are. And we're processing all this, a lot of pain, a lot of hurt, whether it be from the past lives or the past traumas here recently. And it's how we were able to process, to one, be aware of it, and how do we address it? The history repeats itself. So for those who are called to be the leaders, to provide healthy healing in a way that allows others to remember who they are and to be comfortable being able to step into that. And through the sessions that I've been guided to do, it's now time to step forward to help others. I like remaining in the background, but when you have something to share that can help others, now here we are being called to remember these karmic, soul contract agreements, and to fulfill these obligations, to teach with loving insight, wisdom, clarity, and love. So to put myself out there more to be able to do that in video format, um, so to create the business, the website, and the channel to start, providing informative help with that, and to do it from a loving way that brings helpful content to others. That we're being called to share what we're receiving to the masses, in a manner and way that they can hear it and receive it and apply it that's helpful and useful to them. Um, and so you get it and receive it and you go through it, and your that experience that you go through, what you learn from it, you're then able to apply it and offer it in the form of advice to others. And as opposed to giving your opinion of something that you have not walked through or been through, but being able to share, your advice from what you've been through, speaking your loving truth, and for those that are able to take that and integrate it and apply their truth to it, take what you can that works for you with it, and and go from there. And so that's what I'm being called or tasked to bring to others in a loving way. And believe you me, it's definitely the time frame for it. We're all, this massive triggering. I had said to Spirit, it'll take a divine act of divine intervention for me to step forward into this. And what do you know? 2020 has been quite the remarkable year. And 6 eclipses altogether, massive change happening. Whether we're open to it or not, and change. With change comes growth. And so how we choose to apply it, receive it, acknowledge it, and deal with it. So those that have been called for to lovingly shine their light, are now starting to feel the, uh, I guess the activation of it, if you will. And so here I am, allowing myself to step forward with it, and see what happens. The focus on the positive, and believe and know that everything that happens, there's an opportunity for growth and healing in it. And if we're able to remember anything from the past, we can definitely apply those lessons to healing now. And that's what we're definitely being called to. And it's all the nations coming together, for profound healing. Because even in ancient civilization, we had the same things going on then that we have going on now. And isn't that something that history is repeating itself, in these cycles? And are we able to get it? You know, are we able to have that aha moment, so that we can do something? Because usually those that brought the insight, the information, or the messages were the ones that they were not well received. They were usually mocked, discredited, or chased out. That saying, don't shoot the messenger. These are the ones that are come bringing the information, and a lot of them, a lot of soul family right now, uh, not quite sure that they want to step forward in it because they're wondering, will they get the same treatment as they received from the past before? So the ones that are now, feeling that urge, like, is this my time? Is this my calling? Is this what I'm called to do? And they're looking for confirmation. They're looking for guidance. They're looking for, like, a sign. And for those that, they're the ones that are able to offer the signs of the messages. How are you able to get that out there? Because the ones that are meant to hear it and receive it will seek you out. That will be spread, and that you're doing something right if it triggers others, to come after you. So, because if you're lovely speaking your truth, and your truth is there to help others to heal and to remember and to awaken, you're doing yourself a disservice and discredit if you don't allow yourself to step forward, to do that. So here we are, lovingly supporting each other. And what they say, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And it looks like this is the time frame for it. So for those that have the courage, to put themselves out there, I would imagine that something quite remarkable, will come forward, because here it is, a soul family showing up, when I was saying I needed help, and they emerged. So it happens when you're open to it and you set the intention. So this is the time for us to set those intentions, and to allow ourselves to have the courage to do it, and to know that, you're worthy to receive what you put out, to get back. So be willing to take that leap of faith. And so here I am, and, taking that leap of faith. Why not? No safety net anymore. Time to fly out of the nest, and time to flap those wings. Time to take flight, instead of trying to play it safe. Not a time to play it safe anymore. It looks like the universe won't allow us to. Time for us to fulfill those karmic, contractual, obligations.
So, what kind of services can you offer the people?
I love doing sharing the, messages. So astrology, karmic astrology, intuitive readings, past life readings, Akashic records, the, life purpose, awakening. What are your gifts? What is your purpose? What are you here to do? And combining those, in manners and ways that will provide people with the information, to help them move forward. Also, I'm, licensed massage, therapist. I absolutely love doing massage, medical massage at that. Being able to, the things that we hold into the body, being able to help us to release that out of the muscle tissue, out of the fascia. Because we tend to hold on to it. The physical body, the emotional body, the mental body, and the spiritual body. And if they need to all be in alignment, to function properly. And it's usually from the spiritual body, it goes down, through the mental body of what we're always thinking about, and then of course how we feel about it, the emotional body, and then of course it'll manifest in the physical body, so as the disease or whatnot. And where you're having that come up, that's where you're also being given the the acknowledgement of what to work on. So being able to help people, release and let go, of what they're open to release and let go. So through massage or readings, and being open to that.
Wonderful. Thank you, Derrell. I have a question. There's a question for you, if that's okay.
Yes.
From Divine Fractal, thank you. She's asking, please ask Derrell about his experiences with the Ponti and how do they interact with you?
Ah,
Aha.
um, they have been very insistent on me putting myself out there more. Um, so, literally, when I came here to Sedona back in 2011, I was here for 3 weeks as I was going through my spiritual awakening. And, they had guided me to get a camera. And I'm like, I have a camera. I'm fine. I don't need another one. It disappeared. So I ended up having to get another camera that was more suited for it. But some of the first photos that I took while out here in Sedona during those 3 weeks, they appeared to me, and so I have this picture of a face in the cloud, and when people look at it, they all see many different things, the angel wing or Sasquatch, or the Ponte, but they're, if you look at it, it's very detailed, the things that appear in it. And they came to me on the 9th, or 9/9, about, you know, being more active as far as putting myself out there. And I was a bit resistant to that. So they like to repeat themselves, 3 times or so. And so I kept getting, 3 times over and over and over to do various things in a loving way. And I said, well, I need help with that, or I need, who's going to help me connect with that. And I received a message from Jeff, which was like, okay, that's trippy, because literally here I am asking their sound, like, well, then, provide the help for me. And they reached out like that. And then, of course, I had a vision of Mount Shasta before I'd ever went there. And when I went there, the things that I were showed up. The cabin on Mount Shasta, it was there. I found it. And the synchronicities would just, you ask for signs and then you receive the signs, and it's like, okay, what now? And they want to help share the message, so to be able to hear it and to be able to lovely, put it out there, and it's like, so they provided me with, the, the confirmation that what I was hearing and seeing was very accurate, to follow through with, and not alone. That they all work together. So it's a universal, brotherhood and sisterhood. I mean, we're all beings of love and light. So here we are, helping each other to attain those higher levels of, loving frequencies. And that's their purpose, to help us to remember who we are in a loving way.
Indeed, it's true. It's the purpose is to remembering who we are profoundly in our divine blueprint, and so we can ascend together. We have a really beautiful question from someone in the audience, and I think that question would be interesting for both of you, both you, Derrell, and Clifford, to answer. So maybe we can start with you, Derrell, and then we can move to Clifford to have different perspective on this question, if it's okay with everyone.
Sure.
Katie is asking, what is the best thing I can do as an individual to effect positive change in my life and outward in the world?
Ah, um, loving yourself first. Usually it's those we're inclined to, humanity wants to help humanity. As much as they show all the negative aspects, right when something negative happens, there's someone that's there to want to lift you up, to want to help you and assist you. And, we're always open to do that. So to be able to do that with yourself first, love yourself, believe in yourself, and allow yourself to have the courage to take the first step. And it's because usually when we're being guided to do something, we want to reach out to others and make sure it's the right thing to do. And for some of them, what you're doing may trigger them in a way where they're afraid to do that. So they will tell you not to do that because they're not comfortable with it. So for you to be able to find the strength in yourself to believe that you can, make that positive effect and change, start from within. And that's how it goes from there. The saying, teach him, give a man a fish, or teach him to fish. And so love on you first, because when you're able to love yourself, you're able to love others. If you love others without loving yourself, it's incomplete. So if you can love yourself, you can absolutely love others. And being able to say yes is just as powerful as being able to say no. So being able to, have that strength from within.
Beautiful. Very powerful. Thank you, Daryl. Thank you so much. How about you, Clifford? What would be your wisdom and knowledge about this question? If you want, I can repeat the question for you.
Go ahead and repeat. Uh,
Of course. So the question was, what is the best thing I can do as an individual to effect positive change in my life and outward in the world? That question comes from Kathy.
well, the universal concept is just what Daryl got through saying. I think that any one of us, anywhere in the part of the world, you can ask is that you gotta have you believe in yourself first, and the other thing too is that you have to be truthful to yourself, and so that you can start seeing the truth in a lot of different things because well if you love yourself and true to yourself, there's a lot of things that you can accomplish, even though in a lot of negativity. Uh, that old song of way back when is all you gotta need is love also to get things to start working for you. If I had never gone through some of the hardships and some of the barriers that I had to go through coming from where I came from and and accomplishing what I believe in myself to be pretty tough things. That's where it started was the belief in yourself that you can do a lot of things. I took on a lot of challenges that a normal person would not have probably would have shied away from. And that's another thing too is that you got to have the strength in yourself to take on anything you want. And the common or at least the common denominator and the theme is that I was always taught by especially my father, my late father, was that old saying about uh, a man cannot do things by himself. He has to have a belief in something, which is where the spirituality comes into play. Because that's your backup is all the spirituality and the concepts of what makes a human being attain a lot of things which are impossible odds. So it's a combination of those things of loving yourself, you being truthful to yourself, taking on the challenges, and always have a belief in the backup. Because if you do not have those basic things, you can try hard and you can run into a lot of corners. And as they say, that when the opportunity knocks, you better open that door because you may not have another chance. So that's basically what it is. And I think I did it in a way that uh, I was I was actually told that I was crazy to do those things, but eventually it wasn't that crazy. It was more fun than being crazy.
Yeah, I like that. More fun and crazy. That's awesome right there. I love it. Um, Somebody in the audience, Mario, make a really good observation, and I think everyone would love to hear both, actually, both Clifford and Daryl, your take on it in about the fall equinox. And we know we're moving into the fall equinox tomorrow, actually, the 21st of September. Moving into the equinox of fall from our point of the planet. And it feels like very galactic in nature. We know the equinoxes open a new portal of energetic point of connection for the ascension and trigger points on the planet. But from a Native American wisdom and knowledge from you, Clifford, how how do you perceive in terms of the energetic for the fall equinox that coming onto the planet?
Well, the fall equinox is the time that you start becoming resting. This is where a lot of the natives in the old days used to had gone through the harvest. They harvest it and they get ready for the coming winter. And in that time, they used to have a celebration of many different sorts. They had the interchange of activities among different groups, tribes, the brotherhood, sisterhood, and this was also a time of exchange, not only of relationship, but of also things that were provided by Mother Nature. They had a lot of trade that had happened, and a lot of those were because they were very spiritual people, and they were very uh, interrelated in terms of their song, dance, rituals, and whatever that the culture of their own had provided. So if, out here in the Southwest, when I was a boy growing up, this was the time of year that we used to visit other Pueblo people up in the around the Albuquerque area. We go to Hopi, we go down to our brothers to the south, different tribes in Arizona. And this was a time of celebration. It was a time of uh, kindness, dancing, joy, singing, and so that's what we did. And on the spiritual side, this was the coming of the new year, because our new year actually starts right after the winter solstice is the full moon. So this was getting ready for the spirituality that was going to come into where we go into the festing part. You were not allowed to have fire outside the house because we respect the fire, and we also pray for snow so that our Mother Earth will be nurtured. So it was primarily a time of celebration to also to enjoy the bounty of the land, especially when it was a good year. So it would be a passing of the summer, a festivity, and also prepare for the spiritual coming that we went into meditations, a lot of prayer systems in our own homes. And in those days, he was isolated. So this is a equinox, the uh, the what do you call it? The autumnal equinox was the time for celebration.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Clifford. Thank you. I can feel the celebration in my heart. I can feel it when you were mentioning it.
And,
Absolutely.
and
Oh,
we eat a lot of fried bread.
that's the best part of it. Oh, it makes me hungry now. Yeah. And what about you, Daryl? What is your take on the equinox, the fall equinox?
The, wow, so many different things. It's you plant the seeds, coming out of winter, into spring, and then of course from spring to summer you're working on your projects, and then you start to see, the harvest of that coming in the autumn. And you look at it, the autumn equinox September is one of the, particularly the 4 months where you've got dynamic energy really flowing through. September, December, March, and June, and those are the seasonal changes, if you will, going in from one to the other. So here we are ending summer, going into the fall, and now we're in the sign of Virgo, sixth house. So it's, one, your health, what you do, your daily routines, what you do, job wise, so this, for those that are wanting change, what do you know? Literally every season's like 90 days or so. So you have this transformation going. And so here we are, leaving out of Virgo into Libra, which is Libra is the start of the fall, cardinal sign, cardinal air. So what we're thinking about, the balance, relationships, partnerships, all of this is now being triggered up. And how appropriate, from Libra into Scorpio into Sagittarius, seventh house, eighth house, ninth house. And these are the partnership houses, so this literally, the partnerships and alliances. So we're witnessing people, the triggering is coming up. Mars is retrograde, so it's a great time to finish up projects. before you start anything. So now here it is that everyone's being called together. The cardinal sign starts something. It's like a new moon. It's a new beginning. And the fixed signs sustain it. They keep it going, and then the mutable signs are able to switch it up. So you literally have these beautiful changes going on in everyone, during this time frame. So for those that are wanting a shift or change, but not knowing how it's going to happen, now here we have, uh, the divine interference coming in, where there are things out in the world that are happening that we have no control over. You can so do what you can, in that realm of what you can do, and use your words, communication. The here we are, Virgo and Mercury, so communication, and then Libra and Venus, what you love, so communicating with those you love, to assist, Scorpio's transformation. So literally, and we witness that, because in the fall the leaves start to turn, they start to fall, and it goes from really, beautiful, enjoyable, so it starts to get nippy, cold, chilly, but you get to see that in our lives as well. So the fall allows you to take inventory, of what's working, what's not working, so that you can prepare, to make those changes, for what works for you. And it's always such a great time,
Yeah,
the equinoxes of the year, besides eclipses. And here it is, we have a great opportunity, to step forward, new change, new ability. And what a lot of people are knowing, that what you once were doing is not what you're doing now, and for those that are open to step into the opportunity of the new, they're being assisted with it. So if you're willing to take that leap of faith and set that intention, to do something new, I would say you give yourself these next 90 days of the autumn and the fall, and you'll be really surprised at what seeds are laid for the winter. And as you continue to nurture that, you're going to really see that bloom and take off, in the spring. So which, what do you know, right around March. So this great opportunity, plant those seeds, do it. And I got to walk my talk on this one. So if I allow myself to complete my projects, a year from now, we could, be able to verify the results from that. So let's walk your talk. If you if you want to do it, put it out there, and don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to fail, and be open to succeed. Because this is, not everybody's going to vibe with what you're doing, and there's going to be people that absolutely, want to support you in what you're doing. So allow yourself, have the strength to try. Have the do or do not. There is no try. So do it. Get out there and do it. So I got to pretty much walk my talk on this one, and enjoy the blessings that the autumn brings, which is new opportunity, big opportunity too. And I'm a Scorpio, so this is, which, yeah, Virgo rising, Libra moon, Scorpio sun. So it's, that covers the gambit, so from the end of August through November, this is a very profound time of change, for me. So it's, allow myself to see what happens with it, and seeing if the phoenix egg is able to hatch into something quite remarkable. So I'm excited about that.
that's fantastic. Thank you so much, Derrell. Like both of you, like amazing answers, amazing energy. Derrell, there is a very interesting question that is for you. It's from Natalie in Barcelona, Spain.
Okay.
She is asking, and I thought it would be very interesting to bring more of a Star Nation dynamics to the conversation. She's
Uh-huh.
asking you, have you had contact with an ET race called the Blue Avians? And, and if so, what can you say about them?
No chicken jokes.
um, for her to ask that question, she knows. Um, they they have a very, very loving presence. They will absolutely assist you. Has goosebumps all over me. They will help you to remember who you are in an Akashic records type of way. Literally going back, we're beings of light, so therefore this light has assisted, been around for eons, so, and the light is able to, it travels all over the place. and they're another form of us, if you will. They're literally traveling back in time to help us to remember, because the dimensions, the parallels. But they showed up, asking for help, like, what am I supposed to do? What are my gifts? What are my skills? And how am I supposed to utilize them? And I don't understand that. That's way out of my realm of getting. And next thing you know, there's a meditation. You're walking out in nature. You receive a download. You're sleeping, and things just that makes sense. It didn't make sense before, but what you will find is things you didn't understand before, you will understand. um, and they will help you teach. They will help you esoteric information. They bring in esoteric information. The funny the Literally, I was holding on to my lapis necklace, which so when she asked it, they're aware, highly aware, highly intuitive, and they help you trust your intuition. They will absolutely help her trust her intuition more, especially when you get the goosebumps, gut feeling, the tingly sensation, spidey sense. Know that they're communicating with you and that you're not hallucinating. That's their way of letting you know that you are receiving what they're asking.
Wonderful. Wow. I got a goosebump myself. Thank you, Derrell. Thank you so much. Am I sensing that you may have interaction in the past, or some kind of knowledge about them
The
yourself, Clifford?
What's that again?
Did you yourself have some interaction with the Blue Avians or know about them?
Well, it's very hard to distinguish because sort of like a mixed group. It's a especially when I'm in dream stage, and they don't appear in terms of what maybe distinctly, but I cannot really distinguish any group at this time because there's so many of them. But so it's very hard to say. Well, this is X, this is Y or Z because it's sort of like watching the picture going back and forth, and so there's really no. But the messages are usually clear. But the messages are usually in terms of uh, it's not time wise. It's sort of like activity wise rather than time wise. I can say it was the future, it was the past or present. It's just sort of like it's sort of like I have to figure it out sometimes.
Yes. Time wise and frequency in consciousness, absolutely. There is a very interesting observation and question I have we have collectively from someone from the audience, and I think that could be a really interesting dynamics we can talk between, our guests, between you, Derrell, and Clifford together. Cosmic Angel is asking, I have a question, please. Why do you think there's so much disinformation about the Zetas and this ET group called the Zetas? Do you think that some people have colored the experiences from their emotions, meaning that she doesn't recall having any bad interactions with them, or is it part of the lesson of duality to return into oneness? So, what is your take or your experience about all this information we get about the Zeta groups and this ET rays?
there are brothers and sisters, and for some, they're some people's interaction with them is incredibly uplifting and healing for them, and they're comforted, with the interaction, confirmation that they're not crazy, and others suppress it, the whether it be from the individuals around them, that doesn't exist, that's not real, we don't talk about that here, don't bring that up. And of course, knowing that you feel like, well, can I come to those around me or not come to those around me, with this experience. And for some it's a very pleasant experience, and they're able to interact with it. And what they find is a lot of the memories resurface, that where the profound healing, clearing blockages. And for others, it's suppressed, and they and when it starts to come up, they have a challenging time emotionally being able to acknowledge it, because those around them, how, you don't, are you going to be labeled, stigmatized, and called, and told you're crazy or dismissed, that what you experience is dismissed. And for those that have that experiences, it's, you're either, it's either acknowledged and welcome, or it's either, condemned and shut down, so it's just a 50-50 split. So you naturally want to gravitate to those who have that pleasant experience. And of course, when you're asking someone who's had a traumatic experience about it, it brings up all that pain. And of course, and that's the same pain that's hiding out in the cells of the body, so literally, all this, that past life trauma, or that past trauma from that experience, it starts to trigger up. And so it just depends on how the person is, how open are they to be able to, one, discuss it, acknowledge it, and and be, seek out others that have had that experience, and that's where the soul family comes in. Those that, like here, those that are drawn to us, gravitate to us. And those that, and everybody's okay to have their opinions or their agreements with what resonates with them, but you can tell if it triggers someone, then clearly they have something that, that frequency is now being activated to come up. And for those that are looking for acknowledgement or acceptance, it brings a lot, joy to them to know that, one, you're not crazy, and two, you're not alone, and three, yes, they are wanting to communicate with you. So there's some, and there are different types of zetas. There are different groups and whatnot. Some people with the mantids have various experiences, and some, the small zetas, tall zetas. So it just, everybody's experience is unique, and heck, all throughout history, individuals have had that. So whether it even here, Arizona or New Mexico, Florida, there are various places that you go, the groups have these interactions with them, and positive for some, negative for others. So it just set out the intention for the right, law of attraction to bring what to you that you want help with, for that acknowledgement.
Thank you. Thank you, Derrell. And what about you, Clifford?
In terms of zetas,
Mm-hmm.
well, I think that a lot of us sometimes have been conditioned for so long about those type of activities or relationship, and it's the same thing like I was talking about in the UFO world way back when UFOs were not as common as, or not as open as it is today. It used to be that if you way back about 50, 75 years ago, you talk about UFOs, you were not accepted. But the other thing too about our the Zetas and others are that there's a passage in our spirituality uh, prayers is that they can be influenced. They're extremely brilliant. They're multidimensional. They got super minds, but they can be influenced by what we call the dark force people or dark force beings. So this is where a lot of, I think a lot of times that we, or some of us that have gone through those experiences, we tend to question a lot of those. Is the right, or am I talking with the right person? It's not that you're paranoid or anything like that, but there's a lot of times that you have to question or be more discerning about the connection that you're getting. Because right now there's a lot of influences that are out there. And also, one step further is that now we're in a very highly scientific connection using the electronic uh, vibrations to manipulate a lot of these different direct communications. So it's a very hard uh, time nowadays, and then to decipher and then to go into the discernment area about those things because they're still here. I mean, they're they're around us all the time. But so it's that thing about our conditioning that we begin to question ourselves. I don't know if that's what the person wants to hear, but that's been my experience.
Beautiful. Thank you. Absolutely, that's awesome. Thank you so much. Uh, Jeff, did you have a question or something you would like to show?
Yeah, actually, I do have a picture of a couple pine tees that Derrell took. If you don't mind me showing the people,
Go for it.
you sure?
Yeah.
No, this might not go too well, but
It'll probably trigger some people. It's good.
it's probably going to do something. So whatever, who cares? So what this picture is that we were in Faywood last year, and he was taking pictures, whatever. Then he snapped a picture that was above my head, and then he showed me later that it was actually three Ponte. So, and it's a possible fourth one there too. But let me show that screen. Here we go. See it?
No, not now.
You see that? You see my cursor?
No.
Oh,
Share screen. That one. It might not let us share it.
Okay. Do you have maybe on your phone? You can maybe show this way.
you
That could be
know,
an alternative.
let me think here. Possibly.
Okay. And while you do that, I just want to acknowledge that we have a very wide audience from different countries, from Canada, USA, Netherlands, Australia, Spain.
Nice.
That's
Nice.
really awesome. And I just want to acknowledge everyone coming from different places, different time zones around the globe. So it just shows in the like both Clifford and Derrell, our very special guests today, are mentioning throughout this very amazing episode, is how much we are coming back together. The time of the reunion, the gathering, the time of bringing our wisdom together. So I just wanted to mention that because I'm monitoring very carefully the questions, the comments. People are very grateful. Thank you for the amazing answers. Thank you for the energy. Thank you for bringing your wisdom, your also life experience for both of you. So I just want to acknowledge that we have a beautiful international audience right now, and so we're very grateful. Much love to you. I think that's pretty awesome. And then very while Jeff is looking for the pictures, Divine Fractal is making a really beautiful comment. Is that what Clifford Mahooty said is very important, using discernment because there's also interference, and this is something that many tribes have been also talking and then connecting with the Star Nations. I will. I must say that I have been very blessed to been to the Hopi reservation, and I was taken privately to the Hopi, the prophecy stone, the prophecy rock. I mean, I had a chance to see, touch, and connect with the prophecy rock directly there on the Hopi reservation, and it was absolutely amazing. The connections, I could feel the energy, the history, the wisdom behind it, and be directly on the Hopi reservation, and of course, watching the Kachina dance and be there for their tradition. It's been absolutely an amazing honor. So I wanted to mention that also to you, Clifford, and you talk about the prophecy at the beginning. All right, everybody. Oh, we got a picture going on here. Oh, yes, you can see it very
Mhm.
clearly.
Remember that
Wow.
picture, Derrell?
Yeah. They told, take a picture above Jeff's head. So I took like 4 photos, and I thought, it was just one, the orb over there. But then it's like, wait a minute, there's a face appearing, and sure enough, there was the eyes, the nose, and the mouth, and it's like that's a being. And that was the first time that that appeared, to me like that. I'm like, we're inside, but there was all kind of energy moving around in there, and when they came through that way, and it's like,
That
yeah,
was that was not smoke. That wasn't any fancy whatever was going on in there. That was a real wild weekend.
yeah.
Was that the one in New Mexico?
Yeah. Remember the one that we went to at Faywood?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I got a lot of orbs around Clifford there.
The
The
green one.
oh yeah, when you were doing the storytelling, they were all around you. The big one over your head, and then they were all out through the crowd. And then of course during the morning there was the one that was the yeah, that was around you.
Yeah, that's the time that I took this camera thinking he's full of crap. I said, oh, I can take a picture, and then nothing was on the camera. And then he took a picture, and there's orbs everywhere. I said, give me that thing back. I thought there was water in it or something. But no, it is all him. He's a real deal.
Well, I'll tell another example. I mean, another incident. We were up in the Sasquatch conference, what, about 2 or 3 years ago?
The
And,
2018.
and we were looking for a portal, and I thought the portal would be in a very, very big, huge tree, but the portal was in just almost a little sapling. It was about that diameter, and uh, and the green orb was also with me. Remember, Daryl? Daryl?
Yeah, yeah, and the rainbow one too was right there with you.
Yeah. So and then it's really funny. I made a prayer offering to the Sasquatch people, and somebody, I don't know, I can't remember who it was, but went back there about sometime later, and they found a replica of what I had sent there in stones with the right colors.
Oh
And
wow.
it was what is about 4 or 5 feet long, and then they were about that high,
Yeah.
about a foot high. And the Sasquatch people came and made the prayer sticks with the same colors that I had presented them. So that was quite an experience.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
that was a remarkable time.
That's amazing. I can imagine the energy in the room, and then, like Divine Fractal said, I remember the room was filled with energy, and then Daryl came out and said, "Look at this picture I took," and you show everybody the picture. I wish I was there physically. I'm sure maybe have teleported myself or remote view myself just to partake in this gathering of high frequency.
Well, there's actually more that happened that whole weekend that so we'll get into that some other time. But
Yeah, daytime, nighttime, the inside, outside. It was
yeah,
active.
yeah.
I understand the feeling.
There is no time and space.
Mm-mm.
No,
No,
not at all. But
there is none. Well, gentlemen, there's a question in the audience from Kathy. Of course, Kathy said, "Thank you, Clifford, for discussing discernment and energy. And how do I protect myself from negative or low frequency influences?" It's a good question for both of you. So let's
Mhm.
start with Clifford. What would you recommend?
Well, there's many different, depending on the tribe. They use a lot of smoke from different with different plants. The sacred, we call them sacred plants, and the other one is amulets.
what is
Using
it? But what does the smoke do?
it, it cleanses away. It's sort of like an etheric cleansing that a lot of attachments and the bad spirits don't like the smoke
Hmm.
because it affects their, I believe, their frequency and their observations. So if you smoke out, a lot of people use sage, different types of sage. Uh, we out here in the Pueblo world, we use pitch from a pinon pine and other ingredients, depending on your training. And a lot of that also is by water.
Hmm.
Sort of like the Pueblo people use blessings with water all the way from birth to death. And the other thing too that if a lot of people always wonder why the Pueblo people treasured the turquoise stone, the semi-precious turquoise stone. That is our protector, and we wear it over our hearts. And since you're born, you're in the old days that all of us used to wear a turquoise necklace, and then when you die, they put the turquoise when you go to the next world. So there's a lot of, and then now that we have different types of stones and precious, semi-precious and precious stones, they serve the same purpose because of the frequency. The frequency that is generated by those, I think the best ones are probably ones that are the meteorites or moldavites and things like that have a lot of charged up energy in them. And of course, everybody uses crystals for healing and and also protection. Like for example, I'm wearing turquoise right now, and and then this one is coral. The our Pueblo people used to have coral in the old days, and coral only grows in the oceans. So my first question was that where did they get the coral? Well,
Hmm.
they used to go to the oceans, and I said that's too far to walk. I think that's stick with a plastic. So these are some of the things that we use, and anything that you bless or somebody do a lot of medicine people do a lot of blessings for them or any type of jewelry. It serves both as a deterrent and a protector, and also as a jewelry. You see a lot of turquoise. Pueblo people and Pueblo women use a lot of turquoise. That serves double thing, protector and also they make them look nice. So this is what we do.
Wonderful. Yeah, I love it. I can feel the energy. That's what you're wearing, the coral and the turquoise. Definitely. So what about you, Daryl?
The sage works great. Palo Santo, cedar. Of course, the crystals. Snowflake obsidian, smoky quartz. The amulets with um, this has got turquoise, but also remembering that you are absolutely going to be tested 100%. How do we know if we're being tested? If you get emotionally triggered, if someone around you gets emotionally triggered, how are you going to respond or react, to that? If we look around right now, the world is a hot button, with everything going on. For those, one love, how are you, those that put it out, and not everybody knows how to receive it. So not everybody is, their version of love is going to be different from your version, so it may not identify. Everybody's love language is different, and the law of attraction. You do what you do to another. Just be aware that that's going to come back to you tenfold. So, and here it is. It's literally playing itself out. Um, the one, that if you're successful at what you're doing, or you're shining your light, that what do you know? beings are drawn to the light, and the light holds a space in the dark, so you've got those that don't want you shining that light. They want you to, stop it, tone it down. And heck, that can come from loved ones, that can come from coworkers, that can come from people that don't understand you, people that are afraid of what you're doing. And naturally, if they don't understand it, then they fear it, so, and look at all the, in the past where people have brought that divine gift, to share insight, understanding, and, they were taken out, so therefore, people don't particularly like, is it okay to shine my light? Is it okay to express this? And for those, is like, look, yes, it's absolutely okay to shine your light and shine it bright, because you're called to, this is your time to shine it, to be a beacon of light that can provide passage for others, because someone is always going to be walking through the tunnel of darkness, and your presence is going to be that light at the end of it, to guide them out. Too many times before, we've run into the tunnel to pull them out, only to scrape and bump our knees and hit our shins because it's dark in there, and the light goes out. But if you shine your light at the end, then they're able to come out of that darkness into the light. So it's about being able to be comfortable with that. You take the bitter with sweet. Not everybody is going to want you shining your light. It's going to rattle some up, just like right now. And not everybody's going to share your same beliefs and values, and ideologies. And that's one, being able to have compassion, and it's really great. But heck, when people get triggered and their emotions get worked up, how are they able to handle their anger? Are they able to handle it in a constructive way or a destructive way? And right now, Mars is in Aries until January, so we got the next, pretty much the remainder of the year, to be addressing how we handle our anger and our emotions. We got big planets moving forward, Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, and these are the planets that trigger major change in our life. So, looking at, and we got 6 eclipses, 4 have already happened. We got 2 remaining. What do you know? In Gemini, communication, Sagittarius, mass consciousness. So we have all these things being triggered up. How are we responding to them? And those that are able to provide leadership, guidance, they're being called to step forward at this time to offer that, to help others find their way. Gift of discernment. If it's helpful and loving, share it by all means. If it's destructive and not, do not say it. The kind of so that's, share it if it's uplifting, and keep it to yourself if it's not. But right now we're seeing that some people can't help themselves, and they're, what do you know? They're the catalyst, the button pushers. But these are literally, this is the time frame of, you're walking through it. How are you going to be able to show that you're getting the lesson? Because it's in the real time. The lessons from the past you're now applying to the now, to assist you in creating your future. So it's how people are handling themselves in the now. And a lot of people in fear. A lot of people are very distraught. And what do you know? Misery loves company. So which wolf are you going to feed? The positive wolf or the negative one? And right now, election year, politics, hot button topic, but it's, you make the best choice that's going to be able to help and assist you, in healing, and being able to address these wounds, hey, chironic wounds coming up. So literally everybody's been triggered, and what you say or do may trigger this person over here, and they may respond and react in a totally different way, where this person is uplifted and inspired by what you say or do. And if you allow yourself to just do the best you can, at this point, and I don't go looking for, the craziness, but if it shows up, how are you going to respond and handle it? So I say the serenity prayer and do the best that I can do with that. And, and just be in the now as best you can.
Yes, being grounded and also rising your vibration, because you know that it's like frequencies. So when you attune yourself, like you talked
Mhm.
about feeding the wolf, and to see, the upturn always speak of what aspect of you is leading the way. And then from
Mhm.
there, you can recognize this in terms of, are you fluctuating into your vibrational field? And there may be opportunity from that point to recognize what shadow aspect are coming, or trigger point, like you mentioned, to be able to recognize that and also to reattune yourself. We are very powerful beings, and we're having a human experience
Mm-hmm.
collectively. So we're returning to the essential. We're returning more to bring forth more spiritualized way of bringing solutions, way of interaction, gathering,
Mm-hmm.
honoring the planet and all sentient life form and so forth. So it's really exactly, it's everything is interwoven into each other, and you can tell that we're weaving new energy onto the planet, even the grids of the planet are shifting. So very interesting. Thank you for both of you for amazing wisdom that you are bringing right now. Um, we have a we have an observation here in the audience, if that's okay with everyone. Always keep an eye on how people feel, their questions, sometimes triggers. Um, we're looking at the planetary changes and also the change in the collective right now. We also changes in the weather, and we can see that the Earth has, some storms and tropical
Mm-hmm.
storms and thing changes. So the question is for both of you, both you, Derrell, and Clifford, of course. There was a Sonia is asking, do you feel that all these weather changes that we're moving through, is it man-made? Is it feeding into a certain agenda, or is it the earth herself rebalancing herself? So what do you think about that,
Without
Derrell?
getting too much in conspiracy theories,
Of course.
the Earth is going to purge. I mean, it's a living, breathing, being, and so it's, the earthquakes, um, those things where the volcanoes and whatnot, it would be like the wildfires. There's some that, there's like, hey, is that an energy weapon, that's triggering that, because there's so many wildfires, that have erupted and happened. Some of them have happened near faults or whatnot. There are a lot of places that, a lot of seismic activity going on, and a lot of it happening in places where it hasn't happened in a while. The one over in North Carolina, the ones that are happening in Oklahoma, in Texas, the ones that happen up in Michigan. It's rare for that. Then the ones over in New Madrid, kind of triggering off. And then, of course, over on the West Coast, you would expect that. The San Andreas is active, the Cascadia is active, Yellowstone is active, and it's, people go to the USGS, and sometimes it's reported, sometimes it's not, so there's major cleansing going on, major shifting, as we can see, and a lot of the prophecies did talk about, the weather phenomenon happening, and if we look, it's happening everywhere. I mean, the volcanic activity, the earthquake activity, um, and it seems that, every so often we, these big ones get triggered. It hasn't happened yet, but it looks like, we've been getting a whole lot of sixes. So what do you know, that it feels like, with the energy, the way it's building, that it's not over. We've got how many hurricanes out in the Atlantic right now, and this is stuff we haven't seen since like 2004, 2005. With this, so we're definitely seeing, and this, what do you know, that man lives on Earth, and it's being called to harmonize with it. We live in, it's a synergy, and you know the you know the others knew, our ancestors knew, they work with the land. You never take more than what you can use or need. Be in harmony with it, and it looks like they're right now. We're seeing it in various places where a lot of discord. I mean, the Amazon. I mean, so many fires in the Amazon. It's one of the largest oxygen producers that we have. The pollution of the waters, with the oil spills and whatnot. We need these resources to make it, to sustain ourselves, and yet we're doing irreparable damage, to the planet. So the planet is like, hey, planet starts to heal itself, and what do you know? We live on the planet, so it's get, being able to be in harmony with it. And those that are in harmony with it are trying to do their best to share it and teach it to others. And those that are just for greed and profit, we're seeing the ramifications of that. So I believe the planet is doing its part, but I also believe the man is also doing its part, to trigger a lot of stuff. So it's a matter of, are we able to awaken and get a clue to do better than what we're doing, so that we actually can sustain ourselves and allow it to heal. And the planet can heal. We noticed that back during the start of the COVID-19, everything started to heal itself. The rivers, the waterways, all clean, the airways, all clear. So that showed us right there that, take a time out, do something different. The planet can heal itself. So, and here it is. What do you know? That we're being called to heal ourselves. So all this conflict, and usually when there's conflict and chaos, so the seeds for healing. So if we're open to that, so it looks like planet's going to do its part. It's not done and it's not over. Hurricane season's not over yet, and it looks like there could be another big one. The before the year is out. 6 eclipses this year. You figure something big could possibly happen to get our attention, especially if we're still being stubborn and hard-headed and resistant to the change. So that it looks like it's, and the planet will do its best to send you signs to give you a heads up, which is clearly what it's doing. So are we listening, to it? And are we going to do something about that to help it to heal? Because we need the planet, in order to make it. So it's, I'd say it'd be in our best interest to help each other to heal.
For sure. Absolutely. We're all one synergy. Thank you, Derrell.
Mhm.
And what is your view? What is your take on this, Clifford?
What the whole thing that's happening. Well, one of the things, one of the things that I talk about in a jokingly manner at some of my presentations is that there's three types of people in the world: the people that see things happen, people that make things happen, and people that say what happened. And then back in when I was still going through back in my old construction and in my engineering days, we used to have an acronym called KISS. It stood for Keep It Simple, Stupid. And now because I have now aged in a way that I've sort of become a little bit more passive. I look upon the world as keep it spiritual and scientific. The indigenous tribes had advanced sciences to keep everything in balance, whether to the earth, to the air, to all the elements. And what now we have done is that we have exceeded a lot of those norms that was in balance and in harmony without a lot of attack on Mother Earth. We have now become so aggressive in destroying our own homes and our own water supply and our own air supply just for greed. And we don't look at ourselves now or the future generations. So what needs to happen now is that when we had a chance right now in the last 6 months to come and look at how are we going to continue on to the balance of what we have been trying to do for a number of years. I've been in the environmental game for over 50 years. I started out as a kid on an Indian reservation where we did not have any electricity, no running water, and all that. But our community was so clean and it was so balanced in terms of food production, the waterways, and taking care of the balance of nature by not taking too much. As they say that the indigenous tribe only took what they needed, not what they wanted. So we're at this crossroads right now that we have to come to a realization that we can no longer do what we have been doing to the earth what we have been doing to the earth. And so we have now we have to combine our past practices going through what we are going through right now is chaos. When we look at the weather and we look at the as I indicated some a while ago, that the Mother Nature is at play, and mankind or have the wrong leaders in positions of power to not recognize what needs to happen. So in the future, we have to look at how are we going to survive in the future without destroying what is left now. And the the Earth can recover real fast. I have been on big projects where they have a lot of recovery that has happened in, for example, right here in Arizona, that there's a copper mining industry around Globe, Arizona, and that thing was so dead that nothing grew and no animals, no mammals, or fish life or whatever existed. After they shut it down, within 20 years, all the frogs came back, all the natural plants came back. And after that became available and now went back to a pretty good operation, then a new copper mine came in, and they're going to mine for more copper, 3 or 4 times more than what they had done. So this is where the scientific and the spirituality comes in, because in that neighborhood are a lot of Indian tribes that depend on spirituality for the balance of nature and also their food sources and their spiritual connections. But we have destroyed all those. And so in the future, we have to have people not only from the indigenous community, but also in our political organizational structure to have a sort of a sit down compromise type thing to say, how far can we go without ruining what we have already done? So this is where it's going to be the hard part. And in the future, we do not know what will happen. The prophecies of my ancestors and other indigenous tribes do not have any more clear picture anymore of what may happen because of what we have done already. And there's a lot of things that can never come back. We've lost a lot of species, and the next attack would probably be in the oceans, because that's where a lot of people have not really ruined the ocean life yet. But that's going to be our next source. We've already destroyed the forest or oxygen producing plants. And so the other thing too is that right now we're going through this mix of natural and scientific applications. I'm not too much into the uh, the scientific part because I do not really believe in a lot of these, like Derrell says, conspiracy uh, Hawkins. But all you need to do is look at you can drive out anywhere out here in Arizona, and you can see the damage that has been caused by external forces, like, for example, the pollution that we have every day, the pollution that's coming from a lot of your transportation system. There's got to be some type of change that has to be made. But the spirituality will be a big factor in the coming generations, because we have to sit down and why do we need more than what we can only use for our daily purposes? We do not need volumes and volumes of or box. I mean, of all kinds of goods, because they're not going to sell all of it. And right now in this world, the synthetics does not decompose. When you talk about outlawing plastic straws in California, that may be a good start, but you're going to take take more than that to recover the earth. So we have to look at things realistically.
Thank you, Clifford. And according to the traditions or the prophecies or the visions or even the interactions with the star people, do you think that some of the animal species, for example, may have already transitioned onto the new Earth and another dimension? They have already left this density or the third dimensional reality that we have been evolving into, and we're moving into higher form of conscious living. Do you think it's possible that we have been also witnessing these changes on the planet in regards to, because the planet is ascending, the planet is also changing her body? Is it possible that it's also interconnected?
But yes, because those are the ones that are directly connected more than humans. Where I'm at right now, and probably about when COVID first started, there was not one bird in the spring season between March and April through May. All the birds left in this place that I'm at, and not only the songbirds, but also the trickster birds like the crows and the ravens. They also left, and I always wondered every day when I went out there to do my prayers. I said, "What's going on here? Where did you guys go?" And animals are the first ones to predict an upcoming disaster. We all know that right before a tsunami or an earthquake, the animals take off to the mountains, or they just remove themselves away from the shorelines. And so that was the same thing that happened over here in Arizona. So they're the indicators. Perhaps you might say the canary in a mine. They're the ones that tell us what's going to happen. And a lot of the things also can be done by looking up in the sky and seeing a lot of patterns in your planets, and also especially the moon, our satellite. You can see a lot of things that the old timers used to teach us how to look for that. Those things are gone now because nobody teaches those things. But we also know that just by your own, some of us have that direct connect of what will be happening in our senses, beyond our what is it, sixth senses, that we know that intuition has become so active right now that we know basically what is going to happen, but we do not know that uh, at that time. There's a lot of people that came to me and said, "What's going on here?" I said, "I got this thing that's happening." So so a lot of people that I talked to about this COVID, their first assumption was that it's another man-made thing. And so I think that again, not to go with any conspiracy type thing. I sat here for a long time and I looked at the history of it, because history repeats itself, and there's a lot of things that looking at it in terms of the combination of scientific and spirituality and historical parts. You put those together and said, what we're going through right now is not number one, whether it's done by the bats that cause the virus. It's not number one that it was invented in a lab, or it was even that think about exposure from outer space coming onto the earth, because there's a lot of things that happen by the comets and also debris from outer space that brought those things in the past. Our indigenous tribes knew about those things. And I have talked about these things, about what has happened, especially within the last 100 years of our space exploration. They did not have terms for the scientific terms that are happening, but they were told in their own ways of this is what's going to happen. And I think the example that I use is that in the 1960s, when the United States and Russia were going through the space program, the grandfathers at that time were probably in their 70s to 90 years old, and they used to sit in our kivas. They used to talk about that they're going to break the rock roof. And I used to tell my grandfather, "There's no rock roof up there on the earth." It was their interpretation of the atmosphere,
Hmm.
of what would happen if they start destroying the many different layers in it, and that had already happened in the past also, where there's a uh, things that come in from outer space broke through into the earth, and that caused a lot of different species to be formed. And of course, the Zunis believe in the transpermia theory. I mean, panspermia theory, and it's all in their rituals. So there's also that interference of other sources of influence that will cause harm and diseases to the planet itself. So there's a combination of both spirituality and scientific, and you can never separate those two. I don't care how hard you try. And so this is why it's very difficult to talk to the hardcore scientists they don't have an open mind about these things. Well, maybe the spirit caused it, and they'll chase you out of their laboratories when you start talking about spirituality. And I was very fortunate enough that I had the spiritual background first, and then I went into scientific uh, uh, the curriculum, and it was a lot easier to understand than if I had never taken that route. So yes, there's a combination of both things that are happening, but now is the time to look at those things, get an open mind, and combine those pieces of the puzzle to come up with some solution.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Clifford. Thank you. And what is I feel like you have a lot of things to share about this, Daryl. So this is your turn.
The soul family being brought together to fulfill our purposes, exactly what, now is the time, and as we allow ourselves to look, we're being called together to help each other, to shine our light, and to provide, that light for others, and be the beacon of light, um, out there. There are many people going, through rough seas of life, and you can go and try to save them, and you find yourself on the ship getting tossed and turned with them, out there on those big waves. And the best you can do is be, a safety, the harbor, guide them into the safety of the harbor. Everyone is always going to be going through those ups and downs, the trials and tribulations, as we're supposed to. Clearly, now is the right time for it. How do we choose to align with that, and to step into that higher frequency, the higher level frequency? And here we are healing, the wounds of the root chakra, the sacral and the solar plexus, because the heart, is the bridge, is the midway point, to the throat, the third eye, and the crown. So you have those where it's coming in freely from those areas, and the lower chakras are the ones where people get caught up in it, that they don't have enough, or there's not enough go around, or rejection or fear. So these are all the things, what do you know, that are coming up for people to address and face. And mother healing, father healing, planet healing. It looks like if we give ourselves the opportunity, the what do you know, the caterpillar into the butterfly, or the phoenix, the rebirth, the transformation. It's all happening now. This is the opportunity to take this and do something positive with it. For those that are ready, it looks like they're going to be given the opportunity, to step forward with that. For those that are still not quite sure, it looks like they're going to be given the energy to assist them. Like, oh, you're stuck? Don't worry, we'll unstick you. So this is all coming through. Handle what you can handle. come from a place of love, choose to dwell in the positive. Look, there's plenty of negative, misery loves company. Be strong enough to, not go there. And if you do go there, know that it's okay to, forgive yourself and let go. Being able to lovingly um, have forgiveness, for those around you and yourself for what you've done or haven't done, and just allow yourself the opportunity to do something, better than what you did yesterday. And know that this fall is, there's no year like 2020. It has been literally the whole new decade, the whole new millennium. It's been an interesting start to it. But hey, if we're going through this, that something profound is going to come out of this. So we'll allow ourselves to embrace it. I love y'all. Y'all my family, so I'm greatly grateful to be united with y'all and to reconnect in this lifetime. To do what we're doing, because clearly our souls have known each other for eons. Whether throughout the galaxies, Lemuria, Atlantis, or wherever we've been, Egypt, Machu Picchu, but here we are. Doing it again. So it's not an accident that we've been reunited, and our fellow, star brothers and star sisters, they've been watching over us this whole time. So I'd say we embrace it and allow ourselves to do something positive with this, and make the world a better place as best we can by doing what we can do.
Oh, absolutely. Above and beyond, and infinite blessings. This entire episode has been a blessing in itself. I mean, it's incredible, not only with the interaction of the audience, so many beautiful light workers, people from everywhere asking questions, and, pulling their heart, their energy from the, you know, we're very grateful for both of you, Clifford and Derrell. And as we're just about to transition to wrap up our time together just for today, the collective of the Octane and myself, we would like to offer everyone a clearing. And that's one thing we always do at the end of an episode, is that we bring, the clearing. So if you, with everyone's permission and energy, let's come together as a unity. And if you would, just for a moment, please close your eyes. Thank you. And with your eyes closed, allow yourself to feel your presence, allowing yourself to ground into your energy field and take your rightful place in the space and time that we call the now. To allow the mental mind to release any excess of thought forms, questions, confusions. Just breathe into the mental and connect deeper into your heart center to feel your beating heart, harmonizing the beat of your heart with the heart chakra of the earth, sacred Gaia, Terra, and she is known by other names. To feel that we are harmonizing our pulses together. And this is a great gathering of all of us on the planet, regardless of your background, who you represent, is that we're returning to an era of love, higher wisdom. We are steward guardians of this earth. We have agreed, we have agreed upon this task together, and we are returning to our profound nature as divine being of light, having this amazing human experience as we are witnessing the changes in the timelines, moving into a new era of new energy, the ascension process, the gathering of all the tribes, as above, so below. So we invite you lovingly to feel the transmission of love light frequency coming into your heart center, to feel every aspect of your body's systems and functions. Let this energy also expand freely into your energy field. Allow yourself to expand and blossom like an inner crystal lotus flower in the midst of expansion. Feel the energy moving through the spine, through your every chakra, going down the legs, the sacredness of your feet and the grits of your feet, connecting with the crystalline grit of the earth, connecting to the core of the earth, and moving also to the connection to the sacred matrix, inviting all of our brothers and sisters from the stars to connect as we are returning in oneness, in one and wholeness with each other. So feel the sacredness of your being, of your essence to come down into your heart, and allow also the sacredness of your higher soul or higher self to anchor itself right into your physical body. So let's take just 3 deep breaths to the nose as you breathe in and exhale to the mouth. One more time, deep breath to the nose, exhale to the mouth. And feel that you are connected to all there is. Separation is an illusion that we are transcending. And we welcome also the new energy to the sacred stargate of the full equinox to bring those energetic points of transmission and anchorage onto the planet and into the soul and the heart of every living being together. Remember, together we are far more stronger than we can ever be apart. It is done, and so it is. Thank you, everyone. There you go. Lots of love. Oh my goodness, I can feel that.
That's awesome.
Thank you. I hope that you felt this illumination coming to your being and expanding.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Derrell, how can people can connect with you, especially with your new project, Dimensional Discovery? How they can connect to you?
The we are working on the website right now, so you can Facebook me directly through messages, or you can email me at derrellmstokes@yahoo.com, and me and Jeff will be getting the website up and going here soon, and I'll be launching the YouTube channel and whatnot, and hopefully, well, there's no hopefully, they're on me, so I'll be having that going within the next few weeks here, if not sooner. And be in touch with y'all to let everyone know that that's up and running.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Derrell. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And Clifford, once
Yeah,
again, you're going to be at this amazing gathering, this conference in Sedona this upcoming weekend, September 25th to the 27th.
that is correct.
Perfect. And is there a way that people can connect with you, or coming to the conference would be a good way to do so?
I don't have, let's see. Oh, you mean for me?
Yes, for you, of course.
Oh, my email is cmhooty@yahoo.com.
Wonderful. Okay, so people are welcome to connect with you this way. The conference sounds amazing. This gathering from all nations coming together. I can feel it in my heart. I felt the calling the moment you mentioned this event coming up. So we are very grateful for both of you, both Clifford and Daryl. Thank you so much. And of course, Jeff, isn't it amazing? Is it me, or I feel like my heart center just throbbing? I can feel like I'm
It's
losing.
got to be you.
You are funny, Jeff. That's why we are such a great equilibrium.
Another amazing afternoon, guys. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure as always. I love you guys.
We love you too, and everyone around the world of taking the time. We have also have my good friend from England, from Glastonbury, who's here, and different amazing people from all over the states and other countries. We are very grateful every time for so many of you have entering the call and growing with us along with the Infinite Star Connections. There's so much more to come. Of
Yes.
course, and I'm sure Jeff, you'll agree with me. We definitely want both Clifford and Derrell back on the show, right? Is that a big yes?
Oh, of course. They're we got so much to share that we can't cover it all. So yeah.
Of course. Would you come back to the show?
Oh, absolutely. I would love to. I'll be back as many times as you have me.
Well, thank you so much, Daryl. I hope it's the same way for you, Clifford, that you are welcome to come back.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime.
Oh yeah, we're honored to bring your knowledge and the Zuni tradition and beyond. I can feel it's been a really powerful gathering in the Star Nations. I can feel the presence of many have come into the call today. So 2 hours went by so fast. I have so many thank yous in the chat room for everyone. From thank you all from Star Family. That was powerful, amazing show, great show. Thank you for the answer. Thank you, both Clifford and Daryl. We have so much love going on in the chat room. I'm going to go ground in this energy. Absolutely. Well, infinite blessing to all of you and beyond. And we will see you. The next show is on Sunday, October 4th. And we have a beautiful guest, Holy Mary. Is that correct, Jeff?
Yes. Yep.
Holly will explore shamanism, will explore different ways of healing and connecting and beyond. So, gentlemen, Clifford, Daryl, absolutely a pleasure. Thank you so much. My good friend Jeff, as always, we're awesome.
Thank you.